I've watched hundreds of people start with the same goals, same resources, same opportunities. Some crush it, others completely flame out. The difference isn't talent, luck, or connections. It's that winners follow a specific process that everyone else ignores. Today I'm going to break down the exact framework for winning at anything, whether that's building your career, getting in shape, or mastering any skill that matters to you. This isn't theory. This is the step-by-step system that separates people who achieve their goals from those who just talk about them. My friend, let's begin with an exercise that will prove you already know more than you think. I call this inversion. When you have a tough problem, it's often easier to identify what would guarantee failure than what would guarantee success. Picture the least successful version of yourself. What does that person do or not do to guarantee they won't win? What would make you lose for certain? Here's what comes up every time. They procrastinate constantly. They show up late or unprepared. They don't follow up with opportunities. They make excuses instead of taking responsibility. They give up when things get difficult. They don't invest in learning new skills. They surround themselves with negative people who drag them down. Sound familiar? The beautiful thing about this exercise is that once you identify these failure patterns, you can simply flip them. If the loser version shows up late, the winner version shows up early. If the loser doesn't follow up, the winner always follows up. If the loser makes excuses, the winner takes responsibility. You already know how to win. You just need to do the opposite of what would make you lose. This inversion technique works because our brains are naturally better at identifying problems than solutions. We're wired to spot threats and avoid danger, so we can easily list what would go wrong. Once you have that list, flipping it gives you your success roadmap. The key insight here is that most people already possess the knowledge they need to succeed. They're not missing some secret information or special technique. They're just not applying what they already know in a systematic way. Let me tell you, I learned this the hard way when I was trying to build my first side business. I kept looking for new strategies, better courses, more advanced techniques, but when I did this exercise, I realized I was doing half the things on my guaranteed failure list. I wasn't following up with leads, I was inconsistent with my content, I was making excuses about not having enough time. The solution wasn't learning something new, it was stopping the self-sabotage. But here's where most people get stuck. They know what to do, but can't figure out how to actually do it. That's because they're approaching skill building completely backwards. Most people don't take action because they haven't broken things down to their most basic form. The more skilled you are, the more general a command you can follow. But when you're learning something new, you need specific, actionable steps. If someone tells you to be more confident, that's too vague. But if they tell you to make eye contact, speak clearly, ask questions about people, and remember their names, now you have something you can actually do. Here's the key. If you can learn it, it's a skill, and if it's a skill, you can teach it to yourself by breaking it down into observable actions. Those traits that seem natural to some people, they're just collections of smaller skills practiced until they become automatic. Take networking. Instead of trying to be good at networking, focus on specific behaviors. Arrive early to events, introduce yourself to 3 new people, ask what they're working on, listen more than you talk, exchange contact information, and follow up within 48 hours. Do these consistently, and people will describe you as a great networker. When I first started trying to get better at sales conversations, I was terrible. I'd ramble, avoid asking for the close, and make things awkward. But instead of trying to get better at sales, I broke it down. Ask open-ended questions. Practice active listening. Understand their pain points before pitching solutions, and get comfortable with silence. Each piece was learnable, and together they made me effective. The most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones who break down complex goals into simple, executable steps. They understand that mastery comes from perfecting fundamentals, not skipping to advanced techniques. Let me define 3 concepts that will transform how you approach improvement: learning, intelligence, and confidence. Learning is simple. Same condition, new behavior. If you're presented with the same situation and you don't change how you respond, you haven't learned anything. Most people think they're learning when they consume information, reading books, watching videos, taking notes, but consumption isn't learning. Learning only happens when you change what you do. I used to consume massive amounts of self-improvement content, but my life wasn't changing because I wasn't changing my behavior. Intelligence is just the speed of learning. It's how quickly you change what you do when you get new information. Some people need to make the same mistake 10 times before they adjust. Others adapt after the first or second time. This reframe is liberating because intelligence isn't fixed. You can become more intelligent by becoming faster at changing your behavior when you get feedback. Confidence is domain-specific proof. You become confident by doing something enough times to have evidence that you can handle it. You can't fake this. Confidence comes from past performance, not positive thinking. Confidence comes from the past, not the present. You build it through repetition until you get bored of the activity. This is why confident people seem calm. They've been in similar situations before and know they can handle whatever comes up. True confidence isn't about feeling fearless. It's about having enough evidence that you can perform well, even when you feel nervous or uncertain. I'm really curious about your experience with building confidence through repetition. What's one area where you went from feeling nervous to feeling confident just by doing it over and over? And on the flip side, is there something you keep avoiding because you don't feel ready yet? I think most of us have both, things we've conquered through practice and things we're still psyching ourselves out of trying. Please share your experiences in the comments below and help others who are struggling with the same issues. My friend, let's talk about why you might know what to do, but still aren't doing it. External conditions often involve what I call opportunity hopping. You start something with uninformed optimism. This looks easy. Then you hit informed pessimism. This is harder than I thought. Then comes the valley of despair. Is this really what I want to do? This is where most people quit and jump to the next opportunity, repeating the same cycle. They go from fitness routines to side businesses to new skills, never sticking with anything long enough to see real results. But if you push through to informed optimism, where you understand the process and have broken it down into manageable steps, you reach the winning stage. Success goes to those who stick it out during hard times. When everyone else jumps ship, the few who remain get the biggest share. I've been through this cycle multiple times. When I first started creating content online, I was excited for about 2 weeks. Then I realized how much work it actually was, how long it takes to build an audience, how many times you publish something that gets ignored. I almost quit to pursue easier opportunities, but pushing through that valley was what led to everything good that came after. Internal conditions relate to motivation and comparison. Here's something counterintuitive. Motivation comes from deprivation, from perceiving a gap between where you are and where you want to be. You only feel behind when you compare yourself to others who are ahead of you. Someone making $50,000 might feel rich compared to college friends, but poor compared to older siblings. Someone in decent shape might feel great at their local gym, but inadequate seeing fitness influencers online. If you want to feel more motivated, change who you compare yourself to. Hang around people doing better than you, and you'll naturally feel more driven to improve. Your environment sets your standards, which determines your behavior. This is why joining communities of people who are where you want to be is so powerful. When everyone around you is hitting the gym consistently, you'll feel weird being the only one who doesn't. When everyone around you is building side businesses, you'll naturally want to start one too. This isn't about judging people. It's about understanding that your peer group has a massive influence on your standards and behaviors. Choose it consciously. By the way, if you're vibing with the videos, you'll love the newsletter. I share personal growth tips, behind-the-scenes thoughts, and stuff I don't post anywhere else. If you feel like it, check out the link below and join me on Substack. Would love to see you there. Becoming someone new isn't about changing your core identity. It's about changing your actions. We describe people by what they do, not by some mystical inner essence. When we say someone is reliable, we mean they consistently follow through on commitments. When we say someone is successful, we mean they consistently take actions that produce good outcomes. The secret: being has everything to do with doing. If you want to be a certain type of person, do what that type of person does. When you take those actions consistently, people will eventually describe you that way. This means becoming who you want to be is completely under your control. You don't need to wait for some internal transformation. You just need to start acting like the person you want to become. Here's my favorite concept. The work works on you more than you work on it. When you consistently take the actions of a successful person, those actions shape you into that person. With a new identity comes new priorities. You'll naturally start allocating your time, energy, and resources differently. If you start waking up early to work on your goals, you become someone who prioritizes their future over immediate comfort. If you start saying no to distractions, you become someone who values their time. If you start investing money instead of spending it all, you become someone who thinks long-term. The actions come first, then the identity follows. Most people try to do it backwards. They try to feel like a successful person first, then take action. But feelings follow actions, not the other way around. I've experienced this firsthand. When I started treating my side projects like a real business, tracking metrics, setting deadlines, investing in proper tools, I began to see myself as an entrepreneur rather than someone messing around with hobbies. The identity shift happened because of the actions. There are 3 common timing excuses. I'm too busy right now. This is actually the best time to start. If you only make changes when you're not busy, what happens when you get busy again? You'll stop. If you want lasting change, learn to make it work during your busiest periods. I don't have time. Check your phone's screen time. You'll find hours of time currently spent on activities that aren't moving you toward your goals. The average person spends over 7 hours daily looking at screens. You don't have a time problem. You have a priority problem. When I have more time, money, resources, then I'll start. This is the when-then fallacy. You're getting the sequence backwards. You don't get something in order to do something. You do something in order to get something. The answer to when should I start is simple. The moment you want to be the future version of yourself. Because if identity is based on action, then the moment you start doing what future you does, you are that person. It just takes time for the evidence to catch up. The timing principle I'm about to share will destroy the biggest excuse holding you back from starting, but first, you need to understand why waiting for the right time is actually self-sabotage. Remember how I defined intelligence as the speed of learning? Here's how you measure your own intelligence. How quickly do you change your behavior when you know what you should be doing? The longer it takes you to start implementing what you know works, the less intelligent you are in that moment. Intelligence isn't about IQ or education, it's about adaptation speed. When you get stuck, break things down into smaller chunks until you understand every step. Don't let your ego get in the way. If someone says you need to network more and you don't know what that means, ask for specifics. Break it down until you can't fail to understand it. My friend, here's how to put this together. Make your failure list, write down everything the unsuccessful version of you would do. Flip it. Turn each failure behavior into a success behavior. Operationalize. Break down vague concepts into specific, observable actions. Practice until bored. Do it enough times that you could do it while distracted. Measure actions, not results. Focus on whether you did the thing, not whether it worked immediately. The greatest games in life, health, relationships, business, you never actually win. The point is to stay in the game. Success comes down to outlasting everyone else. Instead of trying to control outcomes, which you can't, focus on controlling your actions, which you can. Instead of measuring yourself by results, measure yourself by consistency. Right now, you might be at a difficult point in whatever you're pursuing. You might be stuck at a certain level, struggling to build momentum, or wondering if you're on the right path. This uncertainty, this feeling of not knowing whether your actions will yield results, but doing them anyway, this is what hard feels like. Everyone experiences this, but winners continue taking action regardless. You'll lose sleep. You'll doubt whether it'll work. You won't finish your to-do list. You'll wonder if you made the right choice, and you won't know for years. But this is what you signed up for when you decided you wanted something better. Hard times are opportunities to prove to yourself that even this couldn't stop you. The difficulty isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's what makes your eventual success meaningful and what separates you from everyone who quit when things got challenging. If you take one thing from this framework, if you do not change your behavior, you did not learn. Everyone who watches this will have insights about what they want to do differently, but learning only happens when you actually change what you do. When you go back to your same environment, your same challenges, your same daily routine, will you behave differently? That's the only measure that matters. You know what to do, you know how to do it, you know when to start. The framework is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. It requires you to be honest about what's not working, to push through periods of uncertainty and doubt. Your future self is watching the choices you make today. What story do you want to tell them about who you decided to become? If you found this video helpful, this next video right here will take you even further. Your choice, your life. Start now.